Hello and welcome to the fourth and final session of the Paraeducator Institute. Navigating time for challenge, supporting students through behavior needs. My name is Thomas Veloso, and I'm a program support specialist for supporting innovative practices. And I'm excited to engage in this topic and provide strategies and tips that you can implement tomorrow. But first, here's a QR code and a link to the Padlet that houses all of the resources used for this Para Institute series. Take a moment, scan the QR code, or click on the link if you have the slide deck open and available. Feel free to pause the video to prepare. Let's dive in. Today, our outcomes are going to be to recognize how self-care and emotional regulation impact adults' ability to respond calmly and effectively to student behaviors. We're also going to dive into understanding how the brain influences behavior and apply strategies to meet students' physical and emotional needs through clear and consistent limits. And then finally, we're going to practice responding to real-world behavioral scenarios that promote de-escalation, connection, and positive learning environments. Now, let's first start off with a quick question. You can either use the Mentimeter or pause the video and reflect. How would you describe your current level of self-care? Self-care is an important aspect when it comes to support for our students who may experience needs that appear external or even internal. And I really love this analogy of the charged cell phones. People are like cell phones. We aren't charged, we can't operate at full capacity, and when our energy is low, our ability to stay calm, empathetic, and responsive, it decreases. So being sure that we take care of ourselves is such an important aspect when we support students or others with behaviors that might need a little extra support. Now, recharging your well-being, it doesn't need to be like a full spa day or a vacation destination. Rather, it can really be in moments of 30, 15, or even 5 minutes. Here are a few examples. Acknowledging moments of gratitude or joy. Sending that email to thank someone or colleague, or a text message to a loved one, showing that you love them is a great way to recharge yourself. Bringing fun into your setting, whether it's a meeting that you need to go to, adding an icebreaker or fun check-in question, or just changing up your own environment, your work desk, adding something that's fun, maybe something you did during the weekend and you wanted to commemorate. Getting outside. Oftentimes when we are focused on the work, it can be really hard to remember to get outside, experience the sunshine, get some fresh air, and connect with others. Connecting with others is another really great way to just recharge yourself. Organizing your space, and advocating for change. Take a moment to pause the video if you need to. What are other ways that you recharge yourself? Now, I want to get into just a brief biology lesson about the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system, it controls our automatic body functions, like your heart rate, your blood pressure. Things happen without you even knowing about it. With this system, there are two parts to help keep your body balanced. The sympathetic nervous system, this is your fight or flight response. It activates when you feel stressed or threatened. And the parasympathetic nervous system, this works alongside the sympathetic system, helping your body rest, recover, and regain balance. Both parts work together, but sometimes we get stuck in one state too long. Too much sympathetic system can leave us feeling constantly stressed. while too much parasympathetic activity can make us feel sluggish, slow, tiresome. That's why self-care is so important. By taking care of ourselves, we help our bodies return to a calmer, balanced state. Over time, with practice and experience, we strengthen our ability to manage stress, activate the parasympathetic nervous system when we need it most. Now, the work that you do as an educator, it's not easy. You bring your nervous system into that parasympathetic state, the part that helps you rest and recover. That can be a challenge. So that's why knowing what your hot button is so important. And a hot button, it's a behavior or a situation that triggers a strong emotional reaction. It makes it really hard to stay calm and respond supportively to students. These are the triggers that can take you out of that empathetic self-calm, right? A hot button is triggers that can take you out of your empathetic and calm self. Here are just a few examples of some common hot buttons. One, it could be defiance or disrespect, right? A student questioning or a student saying something under their breath that you view as disrespectful or defiant. Engagement, right? Or lack of engagement in your lesson or in a conversation. That could also be a pretty common hot button. The way we communicate could be another one. Sarcasm or talking to another peer or another adult that could seem or be perceived as disrespectful. Academic needs, right? A student or an adult not showing any interest in what you need to share. Finally, a common hot button is aggression, right? Making threats or even making threats about your own personal identity. Pause the video for a moment, reflect. What are your top 3 hot buttons that tend to push you out of that calm and empathetic state? Now let's shift our focus to our students. Behavior is brain-based. Many are still developing the skills and experiences that help them manage stress. Their reactions and behaviors are often hardwired responses. Sometimes a student's nervous system stays stuck in the sympathetic state, what we often call fight, flight, or freeze mode, making it hard for them to return to a calm on their own. This is often a sign of anxiety, and it's important to remember that anxiety, it can look very different for each individual student. So how might anxiety look in students? Here are just a few examples of the behaviors you might notice when a student is experiencing anxiety. And for all of us to have the same definition, anxiety essentially it's a threat response, which can be triggered by flight, fight, or a freeze reaction. Sometimes it shows up, it can be reduced regulation or difficulty managing emotions or staying focused. It can also appear to be avoidant, students withdrawing from the task or students escaping, or even elopement could be another form of avoidance. And then the last one is overflow. This is when students can easily become overwhelmed, leading to outbursts of irritability or even shutdown. A student having their head on the desk, or a student rolling their eyes and saying, "Get away from me," are all examples of overflow and appears external, but really there might be something internal going on with our students. In this activity, we've created 4 scenarios that illustrate how anxiety and stress may appear as challenging behaviors in students. You can scan the QR code, or if you're following along with the slide deck, click on the link titled Scenarios. Now here's a brief overview. Of the 4 scenarios. Scenario 1, elementary transition. You'll meet Evan, who's 6 years old, struggles with transition. He's tired and hungry, and when asked to clean up, he screams, throws blocks, flips the chair, and hides under their table. You might choose to do elementary group project. This is another elementary example where anxious with peers, Mia, who's 10 years old, is teased for mispronouncing words. During a group activity, she yells, throws materials, and threatens harm when laughed at. You may choose middle school hallway. Here you'll meet Jordan, who's 13. Recently just lost a family member. Irritable. When bumped and insulted, he shoves, yells, threatens, slams the locker, storms off. And then the final scenario, which is a high school cell phone scenario. You'll meet Sam, 16 years old, has inconsistent housing, morning struggles, and when redirected about his phone use, he slams his phone, knocks over a chair, shouts, threatens, and storms out. Pause the video, pick one scenario that feels most relevant, consider what might be happening for the student, how their nervous system is reacting, and how you could help them return to calm. Feel free to pause the video now. Let's review some quick tips and behavior strategies that you can start using as soon as tomorrow. First, we'll look at HALT, which helps us check in with our students' needs. Next, we'll talk about setting clear limits and boundaries. By combining HALT with clear boundaries, you can help students regulate their nervous systems while maintaining positive and structured learning environments. Now let's go through HALT. HALT's an acronym, and it stands for hunger, anger, loneliness, and tired. This strategy is about meeting the needs of your students, whether those needs are physical or emotional. So let's start off with hunger. Hunger can be physical or emotional. If it's physical, offer a nutritious snack. If it's emotional, help the student name the feeling they're experiencing and explore what they need. Next is anger. Anger is normal. But if it becomes destructive or expressed in a way that's dangerous, we can help the student name the emotion, explore what's causing it, might offer a solution. This could be in the form of meditation, if you're angry at someone else, or physical activity to release that tension. Going for a walk or doing push-ups or stretchings are all great ways to meet the need when a student is feeling angry. Next one is loneliness. This can happen even if the student is in a crowd. Students who struggle with emotional regulation, they may withdraw, engage in a conversation with them, listen actively, and help them connect with a peer. Finally, tired. Fatigue makes coping harder and problems feel bigger. Encouraging rest if possible, or suggest a short walk or a few deep breaths to help them reset. By checking for HALT needs, you can support your students in regulating their emotions and feeling more ready to engage and learn. Next is setting clear limits. It's predictable limits to help children make sense of their world, help them feel secure, and provide them with guidance. Here are just a few key points. Avoid using fear and intimidation, obligation, or guilt. Clearly state the boundary, the corresponding consequence, and the consequence, it should be logical or natural, directly related to the behavior and enforceable. Use strategies to prevent a power struggle while maintaining connection with the student. And remember, it's not an ultimatum. It's not, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. It's realistic, and it's not meant to punish the student. It's not punitive. It's really about the listening and understanding, and really actively understanding the student's perspective. Most importantly is the follow through. You must follow through with your limit. Here are just a few examples of how you can set clear limits without being punitive. These strategies help students understand expectations to feel supported rather than punished. For example, you might say to a student, if you can take a seat, I'd love to hear more about what this issue is. Or, you know what? Let's get a drink of water. Once we get a drink of water, let's solve this problem. And lastly, it could be once we clean up, let's check in. When done thoughtfully, clear limits help students feel safe, supported, and capable of making better choices. Now let's go back to our scenario that you chose earlier. After reviewing two strategies to support challenging behaviors, take a moment to reflect or have a conversation. Would your approach to the scenario change? How might your follow-up to this challenging behavior look like? Consider what you might do to help the student regulate, feel supported, and get back on track. Feel free to pause the video now. Often when a student is struggling or displaying challenging behavior, it can be hard to know what to do in the moment. You might find yourself constantly thinking, what should I do next? Who am I going to call? What if this is happening? What if that happens? It can quickly feel overwhelming. So here are just a few tips to do and show when you need a moment to think. And remember, the best offense is a really good defense. First is silent. Be silent. Silence can be powerful. Just wait, avoid conflict, and don't pick up the rope, and then diffuse the situation. By using these strategies, you can turn a potential overwhelming situation into something more manageable and safe for both you and the student. Let's dive into what it can look like. Silence can be very powerful. Deep breath and maintain a calm presence, or even just fake it till you make it. Just showing you're calm can help a student experience their frustration or emotions while knowing a supportive adult is nearby. Remember, this is intentional and it's not ignoring the behavior. It's not planned ignoring. It's really about creating the space for the student to regulate while staying present and supportive. Next, we'll talk about just waiting. And let's talk about our stance on our body language. Maintaining a supportive, grounded stance, such as your hands might be on your side in your pocket, keep them relaxed, and your body might be angled in a way that is not directly facing the student. You may do small movements like placing your hand on your chin to signal a calm, patient, or to signal that you're thinking. When students exhibit a challenging behavior, their words may not be fully processed, And that's why our body language can do a lot of the talking. It communicates safety, support, and a calm presence. So just wait. Next, don't pick up the rope. I love this quote about when little people are overwhelmed by big emotions. Our job is to share our calm, not join into the chaos. This applies to everyone, students and adults. Sometimes having multiple adults involved can unintentionally signal threat or intimidation, which can be worse for the situation. So here's how to respond effectively. Start by removing the audience. This could include the multiple adults that are in the situation. Model and share your calm. Ask the student, is it all right if I take a seat? Give options. Offer choices like taking a drink of water, having a seat, doing a few push-ups or jumping jacks, taking deep breaths. These give students tools to co-regulate with them and share your calm. Here are some don'ts. Don't try to get the last word. Once you do that, you've already lost. You can't control the student, and that's not what our goal is. Our goal is to influence the student by showing and role modeling. Avoid the ultimatum. Phrases like, if you don't, I'm going to call your parent. Or if you don't do this, you're going to miss recess. This will further escalate the situation and will prevent the student from returning back to a calm state and back to baseline. By staying calm and providing choices and avoiding the power struggle, you create space for the student to regulate and re-engage safely. Finally, diffuse the situation. When students are experiencing challenging moments, use short, calm phrases, 5 words or less. This shows you're listening without escalating the situation. One of my favorites are, I see, or I hear you. You know what? That's good to know. And I'd love to learn more. Using simple, calm language helps validate the student while keeping your presence supportive and non-confrontational. Let's do a quick reflection. Feel free to pause the video, but think about a recent challenging situation with a student. Which calm presence strategy would you have used, and how might that have changed the outcome? Pause the video now. As we close, I want to share a quote. When you finally learn a person's behavior has more to do with their own internal struggle than it ever did with you, you learn grace. Remember, understanding this helps us respond with patience, empathy, and calm, rather than reacting from frustration. Thank you, and we'd love to hear from you. If you can, scan the QR code or use the Survey Monkey that is connected to the slide deck. We'd love to hear your feedback. And stay connected. We have Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, which this will be posted on YouTube, and our sipimpact.org, which is our website, which this training will also be archived in the events. Use the QR code or click on the SIPS events page to access the material. Thank you guys so much and have a great day. Bye.